So we're up to chapter 9, verse 1, one of my favorite passages in the Torah is the passage about the Pesach Sheni, the second Pesach. So what's the passage? Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe b'midbar Sinai. God spoke to Moshe in the Sinai wilderness, L'shana Shenis, Etzei Sameres Mitzrayim b'chodesh harishon lemor. So God spoke to Moshe in the second month when they left, in the second year which they left Egypt, in the first month. But there's a problem. Hold on 1 second. There's a problem because at the beginning of the book of Bamidbar, it says, and here it says, so the book of Bamidbar starts with the second month, and now we're back to the first month of the second year. So we're going backwards. So how do we explain that? So Rashi says, B'chodesh harishon, parsha sheberosh hasefer, lo nemra ad iyar. The passage at the beginning of the book of Bamidbar was not said until Iyar. Lamadata she'ein seder muktam u'muchar b'Torah. This teaches us the Torah is not written in a chronological order. V'lama lo pasach b'zu. So if that's the case, why doesn't the book of Bamidbar open with this paragraph which we're reading now, which starts off in the first month of the second year? Genusan Shel Yisrael, because this passage is to the discredit of the Jewish people. Shekol Arba'im Shana Shayu Yisrael b'Midbar. For the entire 40 years, the Jewish people were in the wilderness. This was the only carbon Pesach that they brought. This was the only one that they brought. So that's basically the point. Why was this the only Pesach that they brought? So Rashi to Exodus chapter 12 says they weren't obligated to bring the Pesach offering until they came to the land of Israel. But still, it was derogatory for them. It was not a good thing. It was a demerit. Because if they had not sinned with the spies, then they would have entered the land of Israel immediately and brought it. So they weren't supposed, they didn't have to bring it while they were traveling, but they should have been able to enter in right away. But because they sinned, they couldn't enter in. Okay. The next verse states, on the 14th day of this month, Bein Arbaim, in the afternoon, Tasu Oto b'Moado. So the Jewish people, the children of Israel, so this is 1 year after they left Egypt, they brought the Korban Pesach in its proper time. Rashi says, Af b'Shabbos, Af b'Tumah, even on Shabbos, and even if they would be in a state of impurity. Because if the majority of the people are impure, then you could bring the Korban. So that's what they could do. Then the verse states, and the 14th day of this month, which is Nisan, Bein Arbaim, in the afternoon, which means after the middle of the day, Ta'asuoto, you shall bring it in its time, like all the laws and judgments. Rashi says, Elo mitzvot shebegufo, these are the commandments that apply to the offerings, body. Set tamim zachar ben shana, a perfect lamb, male within its first year.
It doesn't also mean a perfect person, because in Joshua it says that the reason they didn't do the Pesach was because they weren't circumcised. So
yeah, but it doesn't mean, according to the laws and judgments, could include Rashi says these. Well, that's what Rashi says. It doesn't mean here. Kechol chukotav. The words kechol chukotav don't refer to that. They refer to the body of the lamb. Elo mitzvot shebegufo. These are commandments that apply to the offering's body. The lamb must be less than a year old. By the way, the korban pesach could be brought from a sheep or a goat. Ukechol mishpotav, and according to all its laws, elu mitzvos she'al gufo. These are the commandments that are on the body, meaning to say, these are the commandments on the body from another place. Like, for example, Shivas Yamim Matzah, that you have to have a 7-day period for eating matzah, or biur chametz, and for the elimination of the leaven. What page are we? 783. 783. Chapter 9, verse 4. Aidaber Moshe al bnei Yisrael asos haPesach. And Moshe told the children of Israel to make the korban Pesach. Vayasus haPesach barishon. Okay, wait. Let's look at that pasuk. And Moshe spoke to the children of Israel to make the Pesach. Ma Talmud Lomar. Why does it say that they should make the Pesach? But it already states, Vaydaber Moshe Moedei Hashem. Moshe spoke the festivals of God. Ella, so Moshe already told them to do the festival. So why is he repeating it? Why is Moshe telling them again? So Rashi says, Kishashama Parshas Moadim. Oh, Jeffrey, welcome back. Welcome back. Well, it's a blessing to see you. Your high school, not your Mazel Tov. That's a real blessing to be able to attend the graduation of your oldest grandson. And I'm sure you've filled with great pride. If this person is your grandson, they're probably something really incredible.
All the kids are very different, right?
Yeah, that's true. We're in chapter 9, verse 4. So Moshe spoke and he said, why does the Torah say this? But doesn't it already say that Moshe spoke to the Vaydaber Moshe Moedei Hashem? So it's to teach us Kishashama Parshas Moedim Sinai. When Moshe heard the passage of the festivals at Sinai, Amar Alahem, he said to them, V'chazar v'ziram b'shas ma'isa. So even though Moshe already told them once about the festivals, when it came time for the holidays, they might have forgotten. The Jewish people need a reminder. Need a little bit of reminder, right, guys? Every Jew needs a little bit of reminder. So we had already heard everything, but we need a little bit of reminder. Even the Pesach, which they had done a year ago, when they left Egypt, they needed a little bit of a reminder. Okay, verse 5. Vayasuas haPesach barishon ba'bar sar yom hachodesh bein arbayim b'midbar Sinai. And they did the korban Pesach on the first day of on the first month, on the 14th day of the month, in the afternoon in the Sinai wilderness. Like everything that God commanded Moshe, Kenasu b'nei Yisrael. So the children of Israel did. Yes, Guy, you had a question.
Said they did Pesach in Egypt.
What?
They did Pesach in Egypt.
Say this again.
Said they did Pesach in Egypt.
Yeah, they did the Paschal Lamb when they were leaving Egypt.
So Pesach was a thing before Sinai.
Well, when they Egypt, God asked them to bring the Paschal Lamb. Remember that?
Like a holiday.
It was called the Paschal Lamb in Egypt, but it wasn't the 7-day holiday because then they started leaving the land. Then they went out.
By then.
So the Pesach
But
was
now Pesach is like celebration of living Egypt while it's Pesach before.
right. So Pesach, the korban Pesach, the Paschal Lamb. Today we call Pesach the today we call Pesach the festival that's 7 days. It's the remembrance of the Exodus. In the time of when they were leaving Egypt, there were 2 holidays. There was called the festival of the Matzot, which was the 7-day holiday, and then there was the festival on the eve of the festival, which was called the Chag Pesach, which was where they brought the Paschal Lamb. So
They had anything to do with this.
What?
Do they have those two have to do anything with Judaism?
They are they're Jewish. They're the essential holidays of redemption. So when they were about to leave Egypt, God told Moses on the first day of the month that on the 10th day of the month, they're supposed to take it's in Exodus chapter 12, they're supposed to take a lamb, tie it to their doorposts, and then on the 14th day, they slaughter the lamb, put blood on the doorpost and on the lintel, and then eat the lamb together as a family and with their neighbors. And then at midnight, God was going to strike the firstborn of the Egyptians, and then the Jewish people would leave the land.
That's when this started.
That was the origins of the holiday, but that was the Passover lamb in Egypt. And so then from then on, we were supposed to tell the story. Hello, Kobe, how you doing? Every day of my life is a blessing. Great to see you here today, Kobe. We're proud to study with you. So, okay, you got it, guy? So now we're in chat. What page? Tell Kobe what page we're. Okay. So, Vayihi Hashem. But this was the next year, 1 year after they left. So now they're being told to commemorate their departure. But now there was a problem. The problem was that you couldn't bring the Paschal lamb if you were ritually impure, which we call, that word for that is tameh. Now, if you're tameh, you can't bring the Paschal lamb. But it's a little bit more nuanced than that. If the majority of the children of Israel were tameh, you could bring it. But because you could bring it then if most people are tameh. But if it's just the minority, then they weren't allowed to eat from the lamb or bring it as an offering. So if that's the case, there were some people there who were tameh. How do you be tameh? This type of tameh is you had come in contact with a dead body. And so then you can't just go to the mikvah. You need to have the ashes of the red heifer sprinkled on you. It will take a while. So these people were upset because they were not going to be able to participate in the Paschal lamb 1 year after the holiday, to commemorate their departure from Exodus, from Egypt. Follow this guy? So what were they going to do? So those people who were ritually impure because they had touched a dead body, they were not able to bring a korban Pesach on that day. And they came close to Moses and Aaron on that day. Had a big problem. So what were they going to do? So Rashi says, they came to Moses and Aaron, and Moses and Aaron were sitting in the base medrash. They were sitting in the base, in the yeshiva. They were studying. And they came and they asked them, it's not possible. That they first asked Moses and then Aaron. If Moses didn't know, then how is Aaron going to know? So they asked them together. Moshe and Aaron were sitting there having a chavrusa, studying Torah. This is Rashi's tremendous vision. And they came and they asked them, and this is what they said. And these people said to Moses and Aaron. But there it just says to him. So they said, presumably to Moshe, we are tamei. We touched a dead body. Why should we be left out? Why should we be left out? Why should we be diminished? This is a voice that we hear a lot of to this day. People feel like, why should I be excluded from this ritual of Judaism? Judaism has a lot of rituals that prescribe who's allowed to do something, who can be fully participating, and who can't. And some of those complaints are looked upon with suspicion by the normative Judaism, but others should not be looked on with suspicion. And we see from here that these were the first people to ask this question. They said, why should we be left out? Lama nigara. Why should we be left out? Rashi has the following conversation. Amar Moshe said to them, in Kodashim Karevim Betuma, that you can't bring the sacrifice if you're in a state of ritual impurity. So Amruo, they said to him, Yizrak Adam Aleinu, B'Kohanim Tahorim, V'Yechal Basar Tahorim. So they said to Moses, throw the blood for us by Kohanim who are not Tamei, and then let them eat the meat. Meaning to say that they could still have the people bring the blood, the Kohanim bring the blood on their behalf. Meaning to say, okay, we can't sprinkle the blood, but you sprinkle the blood for us. Amara and Moshe said to them, no. Imdu v'eshma. Moshe said to them, stand here and listen. Kitalmud muftach l'shmoa. Like a student who is assumed they're for sure going to hear a response from their teacher. Asher Yehud Isha Shekach Muftach. Fortunate is the person who's born to a woman who's so assured. Shekolz man shayarotze hayamedaber mashlina. And whenever, so fortunate is this person who's so certain that they can go and have this conversation with God. So Moshe, they came and said to Moshe, why should we be excluded? And Moshe said, okay, stay here. I need to go and have a conversation with God and ask God what to do now. We never encountered this problem before. We never encountered this problem before. Rashi says, this passage was fit to be said, Moshe Kashar Torah Kula. So now Rashi is telling us something else. Why didn't Moshe know the law? Why didn't he know what would happen if somebody was ritually impure come Pesach? Why did he need to go and ask God? The rest of the Torah Moshe knows. Why did this situation arise where Moshe didn't know? So Rashi says, actually, Moshe was worthy to know this law, and he should have taught it. But these people merited to be able to have this passage taught through them because they had done something meritorious. What had they done meritorious? So if you see here, if you have this version in footnote 4, they have a beautiful explanation. There were 3 opinions. How did these people become ritually impure? How come they were ritually impure? So there are 3 opinions as to why they were ritually impure. One is that they were the ones who took the bodies of Nadav and Avihu. Hey. They were the one. Hey, Elon and Leo, come on. Elon, grab a chumash. Help Leo get a chumash. So they were the ones. Why are you sitting so far away, Leo? Sit right here next to Guy. No, sit right next to Guy. Okay. So these were the ones who basically had either one opinion is that they were Misha here. Elon, give a chumash to Leo. So either they were the ones who basically carried the bodies of Nadav and Avihu out of the Mishkan after they died. That's one opinion. A second opinion is that they were the ones who carried the bones of Joseph. And the third approach is that there was a dead body that was unattended and nobody to deal with. And so they went ahead. It's called a Meit Mitzvah. They went ahead and they were burying it. So they did something meritorious. And they said, why should we be excluded from this ritual? But because they did something meritorious, they were worthy to have this whole passage taught through them. So basically, what's the matter?
I'm looking for charger.
I don't know if it's going to work, that charger, but use the one on the other end.
No, that's what.
Okay, fine. He didn't know. He didn't know the situation. He didn't know the halacha. This is going to be an unusual law This is the there's no other holiday in Judaism that if you miss, you can have a do-over. If you missed Yom Kippur because let's say you had a good reason, let's say you're called into army service, or let's say you're a doctor and they call you into to save somebody's life, and guess what? You just had no Yom Kippur that year. It happens. No Yom Kippur. You're sitting there helping people. You can't say, you know what? I'm going to do Yom Kippur next week. By the way, people do that today. Many times I've heard this. People are like, okay, we couldn't have the Pesach Seder. Just the date wasn't convenient for my family. I'm saying like assimilated Jews. The date wasn't convenient. We're going to do it next Thursday. So we joke, but the origins of there's only one holiday which you could do a do-over for, and that's the holiday, the biblical holiday of Pesach, which is called Pesach Sheni. And this is the source for this idea that if you missed it, then you could bring you could do a makeover, a do-over.
So that's
Yeah.
Some reason you were engaged in, say, a life or the army week. Can you actually have like a Seder?
No, so Pesach Sheni is not Pesach. Pesach Sheni is not the holiday that we celebrate today of Pesach. It's just the makeup of the biblical holiday of Pesach. There were two holidays. There was Pesach and Chag HaMatzot. What we call today Pesach is the biblical holiday of Chag HaMatzot. So you can make up the biblical holiday of Pesach, but not the biblical holiday of Chag HaMatzot. So basically, even if you brought the Korban Pesach, when the temple be rebuilt tomorrow, and then we'll have this second Pesach Sheni, that would only require you to bring a Paschal lamb, but you wouldn't have to get rid of your chametz. You wouldn't have to do another Pesach cleaning. You wouldn't have a Seder. You would just eat that Paschal lamb. You wouldn't have to sit down and do the whole telling of the story. Got it? So look at what Rashi says here. You got a question, Sam?
So this is the first anniversary. Is this right? It's the first anniversary of their leaving.
Yeah,
Egypt.
yeah. And they don't know.
This is the first time
And-
they've experienced
right.
had this
And they're
situation around.
they're also missing out. We want to be part of the anniversary of the Exodus. We want to be part of it. Yeah, Rabbi Yosef is going to ask a question.
I just wanted to ask,
Wait,
I
I
just
can't hear
realized,
you. Hold on. Yes, Rabbi Yosef.
I just realized that there may be a problem. Did they already have the red heifer?
They already had the red heifer. They already had the red heifer because they had the red heifer.
I'm just asking
That's why it says
because how
it's-
else would they become pure again after touching those bodies, according to those three opinions?
they would have the red heifer's ashes sprinkled on them. Yeah. Okay, that's not no. No, so now we go on to the next verse. Vayomer le'eh Moshe, imdu ve'eshma ma yitzava Hashem lachem. So Moshe said to them, stand up and listen that which God will command to you. Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe le'emor, and God spoke to Moshe, saying, verse 10. Hold on one second. Hold on. Hold on. Let me stop the recording here because I'm worried about this call I'm getting. Hold on.